Hey everyone, Daniel here from Twin Bytes with another quick tutorial for you. This time on the top 5 tools you can use for Windows 10 to help troubleshoot and fix issues by yourself. So stick around. So the first tool that I want to talk about is the Windows Task Manager, and there's two simple ways of getting to it. One is right-clicking on the taskbar and clicking on Task Manager. The other way is doing Control-Alt-Delete and selecting the Task Manager from there. So the first thing that you may see come up is the Process tab. It does remember the last tab that you had open, so it'll be on that tab when you open it the next time. So you can see the list of processes that are currently running, and it categorizes it here so you can see the apps that are open. So currently I've got 6 apps that are open, and then there's background processes that shows there's 122 of them here, and you can scroll down to see the list. You can sort it by its name, status, or any of these other columns, and these columns allow you to see for any individual process how much of the CPU is being used, how much memory it's using, as well as the disk speed and the network speed as well. So with these, if you have a problem where a program is frozen, you don't need to crash the entire computer. The whole computer may not be frozen on you. It's just a program. So in this view, if you can open the Task Manager, you wouldn't be able to get to it by right-clicking on the taskbar probably, but you could do Control-Alt-Delete and go to Task Manager, and if you can get that open, you may see not responding showing beside one of these applications, and then what you would have to do is right-click on that and tell it to end the task, and then that will kill that process, closing the program, and then you can go back into the program and relaunch it again. The next tab here is the Performance tab, and I like to have this open a lot. Just when looking at something and seeing the computer's running a little bit slow, the first thing I do is open up the Task Manager and look at the Performance tab. I want to see how much of the CPU is being used, if it's capping out at 100%, how much of the memory is being used out of their capacity with everything that's open, and if the hard drive is working hard, especially the C drive. And you can click on any one of these and it gives you more details to the right so you can see what's happening with that. And if there is a slowness and you see one of these is capped out at 100%, you know that that's the culprit, and we need to find out why is that running at 100% and start to drill down on the troubleshooting from there a little bit deeper. And we're not going to get into that in this video, otherwise it's going to be an extremely long video, so we'll have other videos that we can dive into in more detail. So let me know in the comments below if you want to find out more details about how to troubleshoot any particular area of the computer that we're covering today. The app history gives you a little bit of history about each individual app. The Startup tab, now this is something you might want to spend some time on, and you can see what's enabled and what's disabled, and there's a few different things in here, like for example Microsoft Teams. That's a new one that started going in with some updates that were installed, and it was enabled by default, so you would just right click on it and disable it. In my case it's already disabled, so it's showing up to enable it. We got the Users tab to show each individual user on the computer. If you had more than one user going, then it can show you which user is chewing up more of the resources on the computer. The Details tab may be a bit confusing to look at by itself, but it can be referenced from the Processes tab. So if we're looking at an individual process here, and if I actually choose one that has something here, you can say go to Details, and then it jumps you to that exact file, the executable file for that program in the Details screen. So from here you can see a little bit more information as well. When you right click on that, you've got a few more options here as well. Again, going a little outside of the scope here of the video, but there's a few other things that you can look into more details about what everything does. There's also a link to go to the services, which is the next tab on here. Unfortunately, with that option, going to services, it doesn't jump you to that exact service. So you would have to sort it by the name or the description and scroll down until you can find it, and the name isn't always what you might expect. So if we go by the description, maybe you'll be able to find the name of the software program or manufacturer, and then see what the name of the process is, which is named something completely different. So it takes a little bit of knowledge to know what you need to do with what files, but starting out with the performance tab to see what's the culprit, and looking at the processes tab to see if there's a frozen process is usually one of the first things to look at, and it may be something as simple as that if it's a one-time issue. The second tool is a Windows PowerShell, and you can get to that easily by right-clicking on the Start button and going to Windows PowerShell. It also has an admin option as well, which you may need to run certain type of tasks, and you'll find out if you go into the Windows PowerShell and try to run a command and it tells you that you need to run it as an administrator. Then just simply choose the option that says admin. From here you can do some simple things such as just pinging a website to see if you have access to the internet or to that website at all. And for whatever reason, mine is showing that I don't have access, and I don't understand. Now, if we try just for fun, go in as the administrator and try the same thing again. And it's also timing out. So for whatever reason, it's showing that I don't have internet, which doesn't make sense. So anyway, there's a lot of other utilities and commands that you can run through the Windows PowerShell. Anything that you could do in the command prompt, which we had in previous versions of Windows, you can still access the command prompt in here, but there's no need to open that since all the command prompt options can be run through the PowerShell. The next option is going to troubleshooting settings in Windows, which you can get to through the Start button and going to settings, and you can start typing in troubleshoot. And there's a few different things that come up here. You've got the troubleshooting settings and activation specifically if you're looking to troubleshoot that, and recommended troubleshooting. So if we go into the recommended troubleshooting, it gives you some options that you can change. So it doesn't make sense that it's called the names, the way they labeled them is a little bit backwards. So the recommended troubleshooting is actually got settings, where troubleshooting settings, if we go in here, it actually gives us things to troubleshoot. So the naming of this seems a little bit backwards to me. As you scroll down, it's got a couple of top options here for troubleshooting, and I think they're very clearly written out, so we don't need to actually go into it. If you're having a problem with your internet, simply click on the internet connections and it'll start running through the wizard to troubleshoot that. And the same with any audio, printing, or other issues that you may be having. You always want to check your Windows updates, and if your Windows updates aren't working, you can troubleshoot them from here. And then there's a whole host of other type of issues that you can troubleshoot and resolve from within Windows, and they provide you with the tools and utilities for that, which is very convenient. The next thing is to test your hard drive out. So if you go in to look at your C drive, you could right click on that, go into properties and go to the tools tab, and you'll see here error checking. So this option will check the drive for file system errors. It's a very basic check, and if you click on check, it tells you here that it's going to scan the drive, and they haven't found any issues that were instantly detected. But you can scan the drive here, and it usually doesn't take too long depending on the speed of your computer and the speed of the hard drive. If your hard drive is in bad shape, it's going to take a long time and then probably fail, if not fail almost instantly if it's really in bad shape. And it may ask you that you'll have to restart the computer in order to scan it properly, and the next time it boots, then it will go through error checking, and it asks you to press any key to skip the disk check, but it would be recommended that you don't press any key to bypass that. Let it do its scan and check things out, because it's trying to help you and avoid losing any data or having an unexpected crash. So here in my case, it finished the scan. It says that there were no errors found, so we're great. If there were errors found, it might tell us to do another deeper scan during the next boot, and then failing that, we'd have to run some other utilities to test the hard drive. The next utility is tweaking.com, and literally go to tweaking.com. You can download the latest version of it, and if you already have it installed like I do, it will pop up like this and tell you that there's a new update available, which is recommended to always get the latest version, as it says, to ensure the best repairs. So they'll know what to look for and do that for you. So if you had to do the update, you just download it the same way as you do the main one in the first place. And if you want to get into more detail on this particular program, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make another video that dives into this a little deeper. So it works very straightforward, I think. It even tells you down here that it's best to run this in safe mode with networking for the best and fastest results. And if you don't do it, there was actually another warning at some point that said that it could crash your computer or create some other serious issues if you don't run it in safe mode. So it's actually safer to do it in safe mode as well. So you would just click on the button here to reboot in safe mode and then continue from there. Now it's best to go to step 1 as it says here, and it tells you doing a power reset. So if you have a desktop type computer, just turn it off, pull the power cord out of the back of it, and you can, with the power cord unplugged, press the power button a few times, leave it off for a good minute, then plug it back in and turn it on, and you can continue doing this repair. If it's a laptop, you'd have to remove the battery as well as the power adapter, and then again with the battery and power removed, you can press the power button a few times, leave it off for a minute, turn it or put the battery back in, plug in the power cord, turn it back on, and continue with troubleshooting. Next, you can hit the arrow to the right and it moves you over to step 2, and it's got the pre-scan options, which do 2 different things here. There's parse points that it looks for, as well as the environmental variables it looks for issues on. So just going to open pre-scan and then hit start scan, and it will start scanning through looking for issues for either one, and you'll have to read the writing in here, and it may be a bit to read, but if you scroll down to the bottom part of each section, you should be able to see where it tells you that the parse points completed successfully and found no errors, or errors were found and needs repair, and the same with the environmental variables if that needs repairs or not. So whichever one shows that it needs repairs, you would just click on that appropriate link below and then run the scan and repair from in there. Moving on to the next step is step 3, is doing the file system check. So they've got the check and then check at next boot. So the check at next boot would only be required if this check fails, which is a fairly short check. So it looks for some obvious signs of problems, similar to what we already did on the previous disk check that's built into Windows. and if that comes back healthy, you're fine and you can move on to the next step. But if it has any issues that could be repaired, it will tell you that it's recommended to open the disk check at the next boot. So in my case, it's showing that errors are found on the drive. Check disk is needed. Possible false positive when drive is in use. And this is one of the things why you want to make sure this is done in safe mode as opposed to running it in normal mode. So you could click on open disk check at next boot and it will do that, and it will prompt you saying press any key to skip the disk check, but don't press any key when it's asking you to do that. Just leave it alone and let it do its scan. The next step here on step 4 is an optional system file check. So slightly different check, but again, just hit check, let it do its thing, and it will tell you if there's any issues, if it can be repaired, or if it's not repairable. Moving on to the next step is very important here, and we're getting outside of the pre-repair steps and now getting into the backup tools. So you can back up the registry, and then there's another feature here for backup permissions, which is only available in the Pro version if you purchase this. And then there's a system restore point, which it says is optional, and it will create a system restore point automatically when it begins the repairs, but I like to create a restore point anyway manually, just to make sure that it actually works before it starts jumping into the repairs. And then of course, like it says here, you really want to make sure that you have a backup before you attempt any repairs, because even though the repair sounds like you're fixing things, anytime you go to fix something, something could go sideways and you could lose everything. So that I've never seen happen, but you always want to take the precautions, because I have seen where the system becomes in worse shape than what it was to begin with, but the data is usually still accessible and you can get things back. If you know what you're doing, it's not a big deal, but if you don't know what you're doing, you could get into panic mode very quickly trying to figure out how do you back up your data before you continue any further. Moving on to the next step is the main repairs window, and this is about as far as you can go without going into the advanced repairs or the advanced tools, which is in the Pro edition. But this I found fixes so many issues. You would simply just go into open repairs, and it does have the check mark to automatically do a registry backup, which is what I mentioned in the previous step. So when you open this up here, it warns you if you're not in safe mode already that there could be an issue, because things like the antivirus are running at the same time and could be blocking the repairs from happening. So you have another opportunity here to reboot into safe mode. But if you can't get into safe mode for any reason, you could say you understand the risk and close the warning and keep going. Now, I'm going to just tell it that I understand that for now. So you can see here, you have the options of doing all the repairs which are on by default, making assumptions for what type of system you have. So if you don't have some of these things, it may not have them turned on, or you can go and uncheck everything, and this you can just look for one particular thing that you know is an issue if you just want to repair that one thing. So whether it's one thing or all of them, you can go over here to start repairs, and then it will begin repairing that, and it will let you know when it's complete and ready to restart the computer. And that's it for this tech tutorial. I hope you guys found it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to dive deeper into any one of these tools or any other tools, which areas of the computer that you might want to find out more details about and how to troubleshoot. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.